All right, go live. Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are streaming again. Sorry about the delay. I had some work to take care of, but we are here now. I just downloaded or at least I'm trying to download the storyboards right now. I thought it did download. Show folder. Got that. Oh crap. How are you guys doing tonight? How are you guys enjoying your evening? Paste, extract here. Nice. Okay. Let's see who uploaded story. Hey you guys. Hey Eldrick Scribe. Ooh, are you a HP Lovecraft fan? Cause I do love me some HP Lovecraft, some phantasmic existential horror. Sorry about the delay, guys. Like I said, I had some work to get done before, and the traffic was not very nice to me coming out of Hollywood today. And I can't find my pen. Got it. But I did get your storyboards, and it looks like Cheyenne Bertrand, Chana Kim, Mindy C, The Greatest Chase, Horsing Around Group, or Emma McCloskey, all uploaded stuff. So we're going to check them all out tonight. So don't you worry. Just because we started a little bit late doesn't mean we're going to hit everything. Start off, as always, a joke. So, ooh, what did this once? I feel like some of these, I can't tell if I've read some of these before, but, well, we'll just read them anyways. Why was the ice cream lonely? Give up because the banana split. Because the banana split. So let us get to the storyboards. I think the stream might be a little bit laggy. It feels like it might be like 1 or 2 minutes behind me. But, hey, just post up your stuff in the chat and we'll take care of it anyways. It doesn't matter if the stream's late or laggy. All the information might be there anyways. Alright. So I haven't seen this before. This is by Cheyenne Bertrand. And let's go through it. So we start on OTS of some people. It looks like they're in a room of some sort. Or they're outside in the street with a tree framing it. Camera zooms in. Someone comes out of it. Skeletons. And then there's gotta be 30 to 50 of them. They're all talking. Yada, yada, yada. Climbs up the tree. Kaylee, come back. KK, we need to move. She climbs up. She goes up to the top. Very cool. What are you doing? I think I can do something. Wind going. What is she doing? Talk. We need to go. It's a lot of poses. The zombies are coming forward. She has her magic. There's something that forms up at top. Brings it down. Ice speared by glacier. They all get frozen. Some of them still climb over. There, it is done. Now we can run. Good job. Let's go. Pulls her down. Falls off screen, and that's the end of it. Okay, so it's like an action sequence. It seems, I don't know who these characters are, but I imagine it's fantastical of some sort. It seems kind of like an in-between sequence between other things. And so it makes it a little bit hard for me to review it. Not because it's a bad scene, but just because there seems to be a lot of context that I don't have, which will make it a little bit challenging. But I think we'll cover the more. I'll leave the story stuff for later because there seems to be a lot more story behind this. So I'm not going to talk so much about like, oh, you need a third act structure here, you need these things here. I'm not going to talk about that. What I will talk about is like maybe shot choice and composition a little bit, because it does feel like some of these shots don't really service the story or like what the moment you want at the moment, or they don't really play up the moment that I think you're looking for. So let's get into that. All right. So if this were like the first shot of the storyboard, I would say choose a different shot. It right now we're getting a lot of people's backs of their head, and it would be fine if this was like if this comes in the middle of like another action sequence. Like let's say we just saw them run away, let's say we just saw them like fight someone in the alley, and then this happens, right? I like to think of Game of Thrones when they're fighting at Hearthome, when they're fighting the zombies. There's like a huge zombie thing, and then they close the gates, right? And then the zombies come in, and so they had established the location first. They established what's happening, and then so we already have all this backstory that helps us understand what's going on. In this case, because the storyboard just starts with this, it makes it a little bit confusing. Just from a storyboard standpoint, that it's confusing. Like, what are we looking at? Who are we looking at? Yada yada. Like, it might be cooler just to start on this shot, right? Instead of starting on this shot, start with like the hero shot. Start on this shot, and you might also want to have them a little bit less 3/4, and I'll draw that out right now. Right, like this is a cool shot. We get all the heroes together. They're all hanging out, doing their thing. It seems like they're a really cool crew together. Given recent events, the amount of skeletons is either great coincidence or intentional. What other skeleton stuff is happening? Did something happen with skeletons? Other than Game of Thrones? I don't... You guys tell me. Is there more skeleton stuff going on right now that I don't know about? And then, Elmal, I'm glad I wasn't the only one thinking it. Good evening. I've been studying boarding all summer. I've watched most of your videos for help. Thank you for that. Hey, no problem, Afro Addy. I thought that said Afro Daddy. I was like, oh my. So, let's talk about this hero shot, right? So right now, all the people are kind of looking this way, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because what they're looking at is pretty much eye level with them, right? So why is this not going? So wouldn't their eye level be more like straight this way? Especially since the camera seems to be up here. The camera horizon line seems to be up here. And if that's the case, then they're just like looking straight across. If you wanted to preserve like the upshotness of it, then you have to lower the camera down. You have to bring it down so that the characters aren't, so the camera isn't up at this level. You want to bring it down to this level somewhere. And if it's a hero shot, I don't like... Hero shots usually happen in two ways. One is more profile, where it's like people in profile looking at something. Or it's like more towards cam straight on, right? Like usually, wow, these drawings are terrible. Usually you'll have things happen pretty close to camera, like facing straight towards camera, or they'll have it in a profile shot. So like usually you'll have the profile shot like this for like exciting stuff or whatever's. This is more of an anime thing where things happen in more profile. And then maybe you'll have like another person here. Right. This is more typical anime, and that's fine. Like, and I think it happens, like they do the same thing in Avengers when all the characters are lined up and whatnot. So either doing it like from the side or straight on is always good. Maybe don't have it be completely straight on, but have it be more flat-ish, I guess is what I'm saying. Like they're all looking forward. Kind of also like in the Avengers when they're all waiting in Black Panther. Was it Black Panther? No, in the first Avengers Infinity War, where they're all standing around waiting for the bad guys to come and attack them. They're all kind of like this and layered up a little bit. You have Captain America, and then you have like the Hulk in the background here. So like it's more flat, but it's not profile, right? It's more them looking towards camera. In this case, you want the hero shot, right? And in terms of a hero shot, let's drop the camera. You always want to be like looking up at them to give it the epicness, that outstanding, like, oh, I gotta look up to this person, like he's the cat's pajamas or the bee's knees. If we're going to talk about what is a better food, it's like a Michelin star restaurant, right? Like if all my analogy is going to be about food, then we gotta think of a food that you look up to. Like, man, maybe we're not getting McDonald's tonight, we're going to go like Providence, maybe we're going to go Momofuku, you know, we're going to splurge a little bit. You know, when you go to those places, you can't just have like a flat shot. You need to have that up shot. You need to really get in those dishes and like you're looking up to them. 30-50 feral boars meat. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know what skeleton thing is going on, but I'll have to look that up. Afro Addy says, how are you able to tell where the horizon lines are? Okay, so the horizon line is usually, the way people use horizon lines are different. Everyone uses them differently. The way I use them are in two different ways. One is to explain where the camera is in relation to the person. And the other one is to explain the plane, like a ground plane, like how that relates to something. So in this instance, even though the ground plane down here goes like this, like that-ish, if we were to follow it to its vanishing point, because it goes something like that, right? So this is kind of their, if we were to use the ground plane as the vanishing point or as the horizon line, that would mean that the horizon line hits her at the waist, it hits her at the waist, it hits her at the waist, but it hits this guy at the chest. So this guy must be really short, right? Because if you have a horizon line, and it hits someone at the top of their head, no matter where they are in relation to that in the scene, it will always hit the top of their head, right? So they can be close, they can be far, but it has to hit the top of their head, right? Or if the horizon line hits someone at their waist, like in this instance, let's say that we assume they're all about the same height, then it has to hit everyone at their waist level, right? No matter how far or close they are from the camera, the horizon line should always hit everyone at their waist level. So these three characters are fine because it hits all, the horizon line hits them all at their waist level, but this guy does not. It hits him at the chest, so he must be super short, right? So instead, when I was looking at that, the horizon line seems more like it's, even though the ground plane says the horizon line is here, just looking at the characters, it seems like it hits them all a little bit closer to here, like to the eye line. It makes more sense that their eye line would be varying just slightly. Like it's more believable to see that her eye line is, she's taller than this person, maybe more taller than this person, less taller, but it's closer to hitting them all in a similar spot if they're about the same height. So I think it depends. The other thing that makes me think that is the way that the characters are drawn, right? With the way the legs are drawn like this and like this, all these like kind of curves, concave curves, it makes me think of like a circle, right? And you would only see the top of a cylinder or something like that if you're looking down at it. If the horizon line was actually here, then it would be a lot straighter. It would be more like this, and then this would be more like that. And then the eye line would be more looking up even more. And the shoulders wouldn't be so, they would be a little bit more squared off just because you wouldn't see as much of that meatiness, right? The arms would be a little bit lower too. They would be further down. This guy would definitely be, if the horizon line was like here, it would definitely be like that. This guy would be higher, like I said. Same thing with all these people. Like there are things in the scene that make me think that it's not a low angle shot because of the way the characters are drawn. So let's change that, right? Let's change it to a low angle. So we'll keep it low like how you had it. And knowing what we just talked about now, right? And also we want to make it a little bit more hero. We want it to be a little bit more hero-ish. Don't have them looking so much 3/4, just a little bit less. Let me do a quick block out of all these people. One thing I love to draw all the time is like these huge furry coats. So that is a big plus that you have this here. I don't know why. I just enjoy drawing giant chunky things. Or as my friends and I, or as I learned a new word, chonky. But chunky also can be a bad word. So like, okay, talk about more about the upshot versus downshot thing. Like the waistline is a good indicator of whether it's an upshot or downshot. Same with the eye line, because when you draw things looking up, it creates that type of shape, right? Like you're looking up at a circle like that. Does that make sense? This part would be like blacked out like that. And when you're looking down at something that's lower than the horizon line, which is here, you have this type of shape instead. So that's kind of how you can tell the difference between the two, or that's how you can kind of figure out where your horizon line is very quickly, is seeing how their waist matches. Does this make sense to everyone? Is this making sense? Eldrick Scribe asks, would drawing the horizon line before drawing the rest of the panel be a good thing? I think it depends on how you draw. Some people like perspective, some people like using a horizon line to draw, some people don't. Sometimes I'll do it one way and sometimes I'll do it another way, right? So like in this type of shot where it's going to have a lot of characters and the background is going to be kind of important, I'll usually draw the horizon line out first, just so I know how big to draw everyone, how everyone relates to each other. There are times where I feel like I know the type of shot I want, and so I'll just kind of roughly lay it in. And then after that, I'll figure out where the horizon line will work best, and then I'll put in the horizon line afterwards. The horizon line is more of a guide than anything else, right? It's helping you convince people that what we're looking at is something in real life. Perspective is just a system meant to help us, a system meant to convince people that what you're looking at is 3D or three-dimensional in some aspect. So you can kind of break it. You don't have to follow it if you can draw without it, right? Like if you can draw it and it looks like it exists and it turns and stuff, then you don't necessarily have to put in the horizon line. I like to put in a horizon line because it helps me figure out where people are standing. It helps me figure out size and scale and all these things that are really important to me and to help with my drawing. And Emma McCloskey says, yes, why do you suggest for the superhero shots like profile or more front facing? Is it just because it's more jarring? I think it just creates a better silhouette. If you have just like a 3/4 shot, like people talking, where it's just like, it's kind of boring, and things look way, like faces look cool in profile because you get the chin, you get the nose, you have like all these cool shapes. And like you can also have, like if it's like a superhero type thing too, you can also have like flowing shapes and whatnot and all this cool stuff. Like fighting stuff looks cool in profile. Like things in profile look good. It, with a caveat that sometimes in 2D it doesn't look good because 2D is flat, right? And the thing about 2D animation is you don't want things to be super flat all the time. You kind of want to give it a little bit of dimensionality. So if you do it in profile, you don't overuse it or just use it sparingly. Or what I'll sometimes do is I'll give it a little bit of dimension, right? You don't make it exactly flat like that. This is completely flat. Like you won't see the other side of the person's head, whatnot, yada yada yada. What you can do, and it's like when you get a little bit more comfortable with turning heads, give it a little bit of dimensionality. So you might see like their eyelashes a little bit, right? You move that eye back a little bit. You can add in a little bit of the eyebrow. You might, if depending on if they have like a big cheek, you might see a little bit of the cheek. And then now you have a little bit of dimensionality to the profile shot. It's still a profile shot, so you get a lot of the benefits of it being a good silhouette, but you also get a little bit of this dimensionality right here and right here that helps sell the silhouette and the 3D-ness of it at the same time. Like I can draw both of them nicer because I feel like maybe I gave the other one a little bit more love, but the idea is that you don't always want things to be super flat. Anime likes to do things flat as well because it's easier to animate. Animating things when it's flat or animating flat things is a lot easier than three-dimensional things. It's just that a lot of times with at least American cartoons, the designs are kind of not as detailed, so when it's flat, it doesn't look maybe as cool or interesting or as fun, right? So you give it just a little bit of dimensionality so that it's a little bit interesting. But it's basically the same thing. It's very similar, but there's a little bit of a difference. Does that make sense? Like this is just a little bit more 3D-ness to it. A little, just because we see this little bit here and this little bit here, it changes it just a little bit and gives it a little bit different of a feeling. So the reason why I chose an upshot for this is because I think there are heroes, right? Like we want to have cool, strong silhouettes with them, and we want them to look good and be heroic, so you give them you guys ever watch Lost City of Atlantis? This guy kind of looks like Milo from that. And see, this is, so right now, the horizon line hit her at the ankle, or mid calf. So we have to make sure it happens on him too. Because I assume he's about the general same height, so. Let's give him a little bit different of a pose. So right now it's hitting him a little bit higher than his mid. So let's change that. Let's also connect his body. Right, so we can either shrink it down, we can either enlarge it so that's like that, Or we can shrink him down and push him back a little bit more so he's not as dominant. I think his leg might need to get longer too, actually. Caleb Carr says, would you say that live action and even 3D animated films have more leeway when it comes to using flat shots because of this special issue of 2D being an inherently flat looking medium? Yes, I think they do get away with flatter shots because of that. And it looks more unnatural because in 3D stuff and in live action, you wouldn't necessarily see someone exactly from the profile, so it feels very manufactured, and it can give that cool look. That's why I think Wes Anderson does so well, is because he stages a lot of his stuff really flat, and you wouldn't see that in life. It gives it a nice style, it gives it a nice shape and color. Like he puts a lot of work into his shots so that they look a certain way, and I think, like I said, like the flatness of it is what sells it to people. That's why some shots, like in live action, look way better in live action than in animation, because live action inherently looks real and has a lot more detail than animation. Like animation, because you have to create everything. Sometimes some of those details are missing, and it feels just very empty or not interesting as a shot. Oops, I made her chonky. There we go. Right, so now you can also overlap them a little bit to give it a little bit more depth, because you know what we want? We want it to be thick. Thick. We want those C's in there. We want to see that 5 bean dip. Last time we had lasagna. This time we want that 7-layer bean dip. We want to see those layers. We want to get some thickness in here. We want people to be farting up a storm with their bean dips afterwards, right? You don't want 1-layer bean dip. No one just has beans for their bean dip. You gotta have that sour cream, maybe some guacamole, have some olives in there if you like that type of stuff. Personally, I think that's gross. You need to have some salsa. You can't just have beans in your bean dip. Then it's not interesting. You gotta put in that extra love. Give it those layers, make it thick, so when people dip in, their chip breaks. You want that broken chip dip life, because there's nothing worse than having like a wet salsa or like a wet dip. Like it doesn't stay on the chip. It just makes it soggy, and you're like, why did I even put it in that thing? It just ugh. I don't think that's what the character looks like, but wow, I might have drawn this person too big. She actually has like really long torso and a short body. But do you see how the shot kind of looks a little bit different now? It kind of has a little bit more depth to it. The silhouettes are a little bit stronger. We have more characters in frame. If I want to be a little bit better about my staging, I could spend a little bit more time layering these characters up so they're not overlapping a little bit more. We have the tree that we can put in here like that to help frame them a little bit better too. Trees are really good for stuff because you can draw trees as organically as you need them to be, and you can have them frame stuff. Right? You can have all that stuff. And then you have the building in the background. Let's move that a little bit more like this. right? If you want to like really sell, I feel like we might need to move this. Where is that person? Nope, that's not that person. Nope, that's not that person. There. I would probably move her a little bit to the right a little bit just so we could frame her by the background a little bit better like that. Right. Just have it a little bit more composed, whatever that is in the background. So the idea is we want the hero to feel more hero-ish. We want to have a good opening shot of the people. We want to have... I feel like maybe this drawing can be a little bit more dynamic. Push it a little bit more. But push these people back. Give a little bit more contrast in space. Lower them a little bit. Raise up this person. I feel like this person needs a little bit of work. I mean, I feel like a lot of the notes I'm giving are just very, I'm not trying to like, I just want to maximize the story point that you want, right? Like I want to, these notes are meant to help you guys sell your ideas better. It's not saying that mine is better or anything like that. Like you can take the notes if you want, you can do whatever else you want with them. You don't have to follow my revisions exactly because there's so many different ways you can shoot this. I think like how I said, this is one way to shoot it, is like kind of like flatter like this and just slightly off center. But you can also do a profile shot like I talked earlier. You don't have to follow my notes exactly. As a filmmaker and as an artist, you are allowed to change things based upon how you feel best sells the idea, right? So you could do have the exact same thing, but just do it in profile at this point, right? There's so many different ways to shoot something. It all just depends on how you want to shoot it, right? So take it for what it is. The idea with all this revision stuff is just trying to help you guys think about more stuff, give you more options, give you more choices, help you guys improve your work. So you could do something like this, have this guy frame, have more people in frame here, like right? Because this is a cool shot too. Like I think this would work. You can use the same stuff. You can use the tree to frame them again. Oops. Got a little too aggressive. Right, so all these are all kind of the same idea, right? Like we're just trying to have a cool shot and we're trying to frame it and give it a little bit of three-dimensionality to it. So that is how I would kind of change it a little bit. What's today? The 5th, 05, Dwooman stream. Notes. Stream, episode 19. Notes. All right. So those are the options you can do with that. So I would start with this shot and then cut to their POV, right? And this is cool. I think you could just switch the shots around. So start with their hero shot. Start with this shot, this one here. Then go to maybe an OTS shot like this and do the same thing where you truck in. And then you have them come out of the mist like that. That's cool. Very cool. Maybe lower the angle a little bit, just so it's a little bit creepier. Maybe even get another shot with more skeletons coming out. So you have one coming out, maybe give us like 3. Just like the bean dip, we want a little bit more skeletons in our food. You want to be pulling out those bones out of your teeth. Not really. But personally, I just want more skeletons. I fucking love skeletons. Who doesn't like a good skeleton, right? Like, they're bony. They have a humorous bone in them. Right, so we have one skeleton here. Have him come. You can even have him keep coming toward camera, right? You can have him be like, ah, I'm coming forward. I like to draw cute skeletons because I think it's just funny. But obviously your skeletons are scary, so we'll give them scary eyes. Scary. have that skeleton come a little bit closer to camera. Wait, he wouldn't be so buff. He's a skeleton, right? He has armor, but he's not buff. He skipped a leg day because he has none. But then also give us, like, you want to give us a little bit more skeletons, and you want to change up the scale a little bit. Scale, not skeleton, just to give it a little bit more depth, like I said. Okay. I'm going to draw a real skeleton, right? Oh my god, that's a terrible looking skeleton. I hate this skeleton's face. It just looks so bad. Maybe this guy's holding a spear instead. See, and you can use this as a compositional line. You gotta think about those compositions a little bit. Just give it a little bit of directing your eyeballs, because you walks out like that. And then maybe another one here, right? This is a kawaii skeleton. Kawaii. Let's move him down a little bit, right? Oh, senpai. Senpai noticed me. And this one's a lot cuter because he's like, we're gonna go see BTS, right? This is where we're going. Choo! Choo! The most painful thing, unrequited love. Choo! So give us a couple more skeletons. Like I said, you can also, oh shoot, you can use the skeletons to layer things, so it gives a little bit more depth. So we get that, like, because it overlaps here, you get that depth, you get that bean dip you want. You want that bean dip. This time it's bean dip. Last time was lasagna. What are we gonna have next time? I don't know, but we want thick. Give her the skirt. All right, that you get the idea. So that is how it fix. Well, not fix. Just give it a little bit more spice. I think it's cool that you have the wind and the rain. This is fine. Her climbing up the tree. I think this is a good shot too. This is good. That's cool. Kyla come back, climbs up, and then this. I think you can work on the composition a little bit better. I think it's the right idea. It's just that the composition might need a little bit of loving. Because it's feeling there's like a lot of open space up here, and it feels a little bit flat. I know we just talked about things being flat and not flat, and it's kind of like, it's a tough thing to manage, just because sometimes you want it to be flat, sometimes you don't, and it feels like the rules are always changing. You know, first Dwoo says make it flat, make it cool, and then the next time he says it's too flat, and then the time after it says it's too this, too that. Like, get your story straight, Dwooman. So we just want to fix the composition a little bit, just so that we eliminate. So right now the issue with this composition is that there's a little bit too much open space up here, so our eye gets attracted here. There's always complicated. All this is complicated. All these are complicated shapes, And so our eye will naturally go to a non-complicated area. So our eye is going to focus up here, or we don't want it to focus. We want it to focus on her, right? We want it to focus on the character and all that is important down there. So we need to eliminate that open space, one, by just framing it over a little bit. So we kind of cut out that a little bit. If you like the rule of thirds stuff, then let's find the third and third, a general like that. So it would be kind of, oops. So maybe move her a little bit more toward that way. It doesn't have to be exactly on the third. Let's just make her a little bit off center on that side. And then let's bring it, let's bring this down a little bit, because we don't need to see all of the other stuff either. Like we know what a tree looks like. We know what this lady's looking like. And now that you have, oh my god, stop Photoshop. Now that we have the what's important pretty big in frame, we can start to use the other things to help frame it even better. Like you can have more branches in the foreground, right? You can do this stuff where it gives it layers. You can have it lead the eye towards her by having other stuff that pokes up like that and whatnot. Maybe take out this one and then just have it poke up a little bit more like that. Whatever's right. Fill this in with other junk here. Have maybe a big one come in front here for her to whatever on. I know a lot of people ask, like, how detailed should your backgrounds be? And I think it just depends on the production, for one, the show that you're working on, and two, what you're trying to say. Like, a lot of people think backgrounds are unimportant to draw and don't include them because, you know, it's a background. That's not my job. I'm here to do story. I'm here to, like, make cool characters and, like, fight sequences and all that stuff. But backgrounds can help make shots interesting, and it can help frame your stuff so that it makes the composition good, right? We are here to do acting and action and all that stuff, but another part of it is we're setting up the shot, we're laying it out, and I think this is a terrible composition right now. Oh no! I did a terrible job! Right, if you have, I think that the difference between like, between board artists is just the composition, the way you lay out your shots and your shot choices will help to set you apart from other people. If you take the time to, you know, make a good composition, make it look nice, and make it have a lot of fun stuff, and make it appealing to the eye, even if the person doesn't always read that or doesn't see it, your eye sees it. You see it. Tips for trees. Okay, how to draw trees. I think let me think about that for a second. My thing about trees is use branches how you would use branches to frame stuff. So like I said, this is, I would use that to frame it here. It feels like if she's going up to the top, like, I think it also depends on what type of tree you want to draw. Just use it to frame things is my suggestion about trees. I don't really have suggestions on how to draw trees because I think that's a little bit more complicated. Right, but use it to frame her. So now we have these tree things here. We have this giant thing here. We have this foreground element here. And this already helps to frame your eye over here. And that's the whole goal of having these other background elements. It's the whole goal of having foreground elements is to help the composition, help it, oh, that's the wrong one. Help the idea that we're trying to lead the eye somewhere. We're trying to lead it to the things that are important or to try and say something with the composition. Something like that. maybe. And that just helps lead the eye even more. Whatever. I feel like I could spend a little bit more time making it proper. Making it proper. A real well-designed tree, but we're not going to spend that time, so yada yada yada. But you can see already that the whole point of it is just to have the eye lead you to this lady here. And that's the whole point of like composition and background. You want to lead the eye. All right, so that's kind of how I change it a little bit up, right? And just give it a little bit more loving. Are you guys interested in learning more about composition and like layout and perspective and stuff like that? I actually live with a couple of people that do that professionally as like viz dev and background artists. If you don't know already, one of my roommates is Kirk Shinmoto, or at at the Butts. I think he's on Instagram, Twitter, and he teaches at Art Center, he teaches at CDA, he teaches at Brainstorm, and he has 3 classes right now. He has one for figure drawing, he has one for perspective, and these are online classes. So I think he Skypes with everyone, and then he gives feedback, and you can watch all of them, and you can record it. I think check his stuff, and then the last one is costume drawing. So check out his stuff. Definitely check it out. My other roommate, Arthur Loftus, is also a background artist and viz dev person, and he used to teach as well, like a perspective class and background class. But if you go to his Instagram, he has a lot of his work that he does, and I'm thinking about bringing him on at some point to talk about backgrounds and composition and layouts and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'll try to get him on as well, and maybe we'll have like a whole episode about that where we're just talking backgrounds and stuff, because I think it's important, right? Like, this storyboarding is hard because you have to include so many different skills, and it makes a difference. Just having a good layout will make all the difference in your work, and people will notice. People will notice if you have good layouts. People will notice if you can stage things and use compositions and whatnot, right? So things to also have to practice, among other things. Okay, so change that up a little bit. This is fine. I think all the acting is fine. This is a cool shot. Just watch out for the horizon line again, because it seems like the horizon line is up here, except for this guy. This guy needs to be higher in the frame. These trees, I don't know if the trees are bending down, but I think it would be up this way instead. It would move up that way instead, but take a shot at that. I do like the nice blowing animation. I like that nice detail. I like it. I dig it, personally. I like that attention. This type of shot, I have 2 notes. One is like a animation specific note. If you are like in a production and you're like working on a show, this would be a very difficult shot to animate because things are really tiny and there's a lot of them moving. So that'd be really, really hard to animate. Like, I would stay away from crowd shots like this. There are more effective ways to do it. And the second note I would have is, I think the composition is not working in your favor, right? Like, you want to show that there's a lot of them, but it feels like there's not a ton. It feels like they're being pinched between these buildings and there's a lot of open space. So you want to adjust the composition so that it makes it feel like there are a lot more than there actually are. And this is something I didn't learn really until I got on the job, just because they don't teach you like animation stuff usually in school. They don't teach you the production side of stuff. Like, this shot would never happen because we don't have the production budget for it. Chad Welch says, also, maybe thoughts on what is an acceptable level of polish for a portfolio set. I know different productions and schedules denote different constraints. I'm either too loose or not loose enough, and as a crit I'm trying to address in my new samples. Chat Anime Studio says Pink Dude's gonna is a gnome, so he's supposed to be short. Ah, that is fair then. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Then that is a-okay. I did not know that. Hey, look. This is what I was talking about. Like, slightly, give that slight bit of dimension. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my. So, getting back to this shot, and I'll talk about your point, Chad, in a second, because that is something that comes up a lot. So this shot, I would change, if you're going to do like a shot with a lot of people in it, try not to do a down shot of people walking because that's really hard. And then also try not to show a bunch of them. Use framing techniques to hide a ton of people. So if you want to do like a bunch of zombies coming forward, have like maybe have one. Let's set up our horizon line a little bit first. A little bit like that. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe get some grids in there. I like them grids. Putting some, you know, maybe some skeletons. So you have one skeleton up here in the front doing his thing. Be like, yeah, bruh, I'm number one. I'm the number one skeleton. They call me Jack Skellington because I'll be number one. I'll be leading the pack of my bag of bones. Rah, I'm a skeleton. Coming for your organs. Okay, so you have one like in the front like that. And then maybe you have like one just to the side of him. Let's give him a different color. Because our skeletons are fancy. You know, have your one to the side of him. And then one more skeleton. One more thing. You guys know what that's from? No? Okay. One more thing. Maybe pull him back a little bit like that. Boop, boop, boop. Right, so use the other people. Use, ooh, give him a, give him the leotard. This is our leotard skeleton. Oh yeah. This is my Beyonce, like, leotard, like, single ladies to the front, get information. Get information with the other skeletons, like, oh my god. So, yeah, make sure you draw on your leotards very, very sexily for your skeletons. Because that's how skeletons should look. Just because they're skinny doesn't mean they can't look good. Who said a skeleton can't be fleek? On fleek. Look at that. Yeah. Bars. Bar. So you use the characters like this, right? Like the idea is you use the people in the shot to help frame things and to help hide things. So because this character here is so big and takes up so much of the room, there's less to animate. Right? We just have to animate parts of it moving. We only have like one serious look at someone and then a couple other smaller ones. And so use that to hide stuff. The other thing I would do is like have more smoke still. I would still have a little bit more smoke or whatever the fog is in the scene to obscure stuff. So maybe the guys in the back are just like silhouettes too, right? They wouldn't be full skeletons. They wouldn't be like fully rendered skeletons. It might be like a shadow of a skeleton and then more shadows of skeletons like that. And so now you have like 4 or 5 guys in the shot, but you only have to really animate like 2 seriously. And on top of that, you don't even have their legs. We don't even see their legs moving, which is a pain in the butt. So you can kind of have them just bounce along. You would just use like the move tool and bounce them along like that. And it still gives the feeling of it being like a scary sequence. You still have like the shamblingness of the people or the skeletons, right? This is the whole idea is kind of like finding layouts that help to sell the idea while also minimizing animation. Does that make sense? There are a ton of different ways you can do this. If you look at anything with huge crowd scenes, you'll always find that they try to minimize the amount of crowds while still make it seem like there's a lot of people. Let me look up an Avenger clip. Avenger Infinity War fight clip. Thor versus Santa. Wakanda. Oh god, no sound. Wakanda forever. Let's go back. I want to see the start of the fight, to be honest. See, like that, this type of shot is really hard to do because there's so many characters moving that you have to animate properly. But like this one, this framing is actually kind of nice because you have one. This guy takes up a lot of space. There's only a couple characters that are like fully in frame, but you can kind of get away with hiding a lot of them. Yeah, these type of shots are really hard for animation. But, you know, if you have an unlimited budget like they did, it makes it a little bit easier, I think. I'm hoping that they shot things a little bit smarter. Maybe not. Having low angle shots like that is also really helpful because you can just do a walk cycle and have them walk on the horizon line. That's cool. That's fine. Oh, anyways. But yeah, the takeaway for this is make sure your layouts work to sell your idea, and then also to help minimize animation. Like the shot that you originally had would be cool. It's just that there is no way we could do that in TV animation, or even like feature animation would be pushing it. And I think there are a lot smarter ways that sell the feeling of a lot of people better, right? So just think about that. Okay, let's talk about what Chad said about portfolio stuff. Portfolios are always a difficult topic because I think people always want that one answer. They want to be like, what is it exactly people are looking for? If I need to put in a fight scene, do I put in a fight scene? Do I need a acting scene? Do I need an acting scene? Like, and the way I think about portfolios is that they aren't necessarily looking for one specific thing. They're looking at your portfolio to know that you have the skills to do the job, right? They're not looking for like, oh, is this person going to be able to draw me a car in 3D? Or is this person going to be doing da 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 da, right? If I were looking at a portfolio, I tend to look at how they choose their shots. I tend to look at their technical drawing skills, like how well they draw. And then I try to look at the story side of things. Like, do they tell like a cohesive story? Do they set up the shots to match that story? Do they have a good idea of shot sequencing and how to make things flow together, right? So you can do that in a fight scene. You can do that in a chase scene. You can do that in any number of ways. But when I look at a portfolio, I'll immediately kind of have an idea of their skill level just based upon like shot choice, shot layout, and technical skills, right? And they should all be kind of somewhere at a pretty high proficient level. That doesn't mean you have to be super clean all the time. That doesn't mean it can be super rough either. It should be legible, and it should tell a story. Especially if you're doing storyboards, it should tell some type of story, right? If you don't have enough, that's not good because they can't see if you can tell a story. So does that kind of like answer your question? There's not one answer for a portfolio. It's everyone's looking for something different, but at least the skill set is shot choice, shot layout, and like technical drawing ability are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on what people look for in a portfolio. Okay, this is cool. I would suggest moving her over to the right side because she's been on the right side of the frame the whole time, and all of a sudden she's on the left side of the frame, so just put her on this side instead. Have her hand also move in the opposite direction. Have it go right to left like that, because it feels like they're going right to left and the skeletons are coming left to right, so you want to have it oppose it. This is also confusing because it happens in back of the skeletons, and when she brings it down, it stabs them in the front, right? The storm is happening in back of the skeletons when it should be happening in front of the skeletons because they're going to get stabbed in the front. Also, I would just lower the angle on this shot too. Again, it just feels like the camera's a little bit too high, and I think you could probably get a better composition. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I think the general takeaway from this is work on your compositions a little bit. Watch your horizon line, and yeah, that's what I'd say. Just watch out for your compositions a little bit. I think I think there's more to the story. I just don't know what it is right now. So, but good work. We are going to keep this train rolling. What was the name of the Cheyenne Bertrand? Chana Kim. Chana Kim. We are going to do Graveyard Book. Tiger. Is this a storyboard test? Question mark. Ooh, point. If you have any questions, just post them in the chat and I'll answer them. Like I said, the stream is a little bit laggy, so. Okay, so B says, I had a fight with my dad. He wants me to quit school and come back to the graveyard. Oh, that's pretty funny. He thinks it's too dangerous. Oh, really? What a shame. Turns. Boop. Car comes. Oh. Goes past. Stops. Doors open. Someone steps out. Excuse me, young man. Police. Might I ask you what you're doing out so late? Oh, okay. Time to run. Grabs him. Where are your parents? Well, looks like you're not going anywhere. Gets pulled in the car. Who are you talking to, you little brat? No funny business, you hear me? Lifts up. That's him. He was in my mom's garden. They broke stuff and ran away. What the? What are you doing here? And that's not true. Ow, quiet. Ow, ow. Answer my question. Where do you live, kid? At the abandoned graveyard. Ow, 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 ow. It's the truth. Oh yeah, I bet your dad's a vampire and your mom's a zombie, huh? Oh, you're actually not far off. Oh, I'll stop pulling on my ear. Cooperate or we're going to the station. I'll tell your father to pick you up, bud. Wait. Oh, come on. You can't just arrest me. I'm a kid. No. Oh, am I under arrest? No, you aren't. But you're going to the station until you answer my questions properly so we can call your parents over and release you. Okay, cool. I think this is a fun sequence. I think there is some good stuff in here. This seems like a comedy board, so I'll try to review it in terms of comedy. I think this is a good opening layout. Pans it down. Walk in. Walk. The thing about comedy boards is that you need to sell them on your expressions and your acting. And so when you have shots where it's just two people talking, you kind of need to give it a little bit of love, right? Like, I don't know what these characters look like per se, but I have a feeling the type of expression you want is a little bit more nuanced than that, right? Like, he's like, and so you gotta give it a little bit more detail just so that people know. Is there a better shot of him? Maybe a more detail. Maybe not. So you might not have to draw everything super on mod. Like, you don't have to draw it super crazy detailed, but you need to make sure their expressions are selling. Because I think right now the expression is a little bit ambiguous. So if he's more stressed out, what does the dialogue say? What does the dialogue say? He thinks it's too dangerous. It feels like he thinks it's too dangerous. He thinks it's too... It might be like something like that, and then maybe another pose is like him like looking up, being like, he thinks it's too dangerous. Or maybe it's a little bit more flippant. I don't know. I don't know the context of what's happening, so it's hard for me to like figure out a proper emotion. But maybe give it like two poses. Like, you think this? My dad thinks it's too dangerous. Maybe like, you think it's too dangerous? Maybe this will be the. I don't think I need this pose. I don't like that one. This one's a little bit more. He thinks it's too dangerous. He thinks it's too dangerous. And this guy would probably have one like. He would have an expression too. Turn this down a little bit more. Ugh, I hate boarding in Photoshop. Right? Maybe just give him a little bit more. Yeah, it's fine that it's rough. It's just that for comedy stuff, you're selling people on the comedy, so you kind of need to give it a little bit of more comedy, right? Like everything doesn't need to be super clean or anything. It's just the stuff that you want to sell the joke on needs to really sell the joke. So like this stuff with a car coming forward, that's fine. Like I'm not gonna tell you like, oh, you need to learn how to draw a car coming toward a camera. Whatever, that doesn't matter. What you need to have though are like the reaction shots, and you need to have like the funny stuff. Like if the police guy gets out if the guy gets out of the police car here, it should be scary, right? Or there should be something to it. Like there should be a joke here, right? Like he should be afraid or be like ugh, or I don't know. It feels like he just gets out and that's not enough. There needs to be more to it. Whether that's a joke, whether that's like his expression is funny, maybe he looks like a ghost, maybe he looks even more imposing. Like it just feels like it's just too normal. And for comedy stuff, you want to play up the funny. Play up the funny. Same thing with here. Like his expression should be, I don't know if he's like unhappy or what, but you need to play up that funny stuff. See, that was fine. I think that's funny. Like the reaction before he gets pulled off. Ow, that's funny. No funny business, you hear me? And this is funny too. Like this is a good reveal. Like I like that. Like the drawings don't have to be super tight. It's just that you need those beats to make it sell the joke. Is what I'm saying. You need to sell the joke. So if that means adding in more refined drawings, then do that. If that means adding in more poses, then do that. Ow. Yeah, that's funny. That's good. Oh, come on, can't you just... Also, it feels weird that he's driving on the right-hand side. I don't know if he's in Australia or the UK or Japan where the steering wheel's on the opposite side, because that feels a little weird. This cut is a little bit unusual because he didn't get pulled off screen. It's kind of like a jump cut almost, because he's like, you can't just arrest me, I'm a kid. And then all of a sudden, am I under arrest? But it's the same shot, except it doesn't explain why he's under arrest more. Like, it would be funnier if it was like maybe the screen across his face, or if his hands were in handcuffs right now at this point. But right now it just feels like a jump cut. You can't just arrest me, I'm a kid. Am I under arrest? You can't just arrest me, I'm a kid. Yeah, there needs to be a joke. I think the book takes place in the UK. That's fine then. Afro Addy says, when it comes to dialogue-centric scenes like this, is it helpful to say you should be able to understand what's going on without the subtitles? That's a little bit hard to say, because I think a lot of the jokes in this stuff are because of the dialogue, right? Like, it's the dialogue makes it funny. I think the poses will help it, but I think the dialogue also helps sell the jokes. So Max's head. I think this joke needs something else. Like maybe I don't. You know how they always have like the joke where I'm not gonna be under arrest, and then you hear like and like the cell door slams in front of their face afterwards. That's kind of what it's missing. It needs like the beat of you can't arrest a kid. Like the handcuffs come on. You can't arrest a kid. And, like gets pushed into the car and like the grate comes up. It needs that beat of you can't do this, and then immediately afterwards you're the under arrest type beat, like whether that be the handcuffs, that be the cell door closing, whether that be like him getting thrown into the backseat of the vehicle. So it needs that like that 1-2 beat, like you can't arrest me, you're under arrest. You can't arrest me, whoop. You see like the police car driving down the street with its sirens blaring. Okay, the book takes place in UK. Yes, it meant to be a jump cut, but I understand it looks awkward. It's the jump cut. I understand why you did the jump cut because it's a funny comedic beat. It's just that it needs that other beat that explains that he's under arrest immediately, because you don't find out he's under arrest until this shot, until the shot with all three of them. You need a shot where you need this shot to explain why he's under arrest in it. So because you need that beat to come faster. That's why it doesn't. That's why the joke is kind of like not landing properly, is because the beats between the joke are too slow. So like if it was just this shot or something, like with the, you know how in the backseat of a police car you have that stuff like this. He like, you can't arrest me, and then have him like fall into shot. So it's like shot one. But then that you want the jump cut though. If you want to keep the jump cut, then you have to figure out some other way to put this grate up. And then like maybe it might be that's one, and then two he comes up here or something, like it's like his fingers are on it. It's like you got arrest. I'm under arrest. Like maybe it pops up holding the. I don't know. It just needs that beat. It needs a visual beat of him being arrested or indicating that he's like now arrested. Okay. Great shot. It looks like a decent match cut, but lacks the context of where he is. Yep. I agree with you, Eldrick Scribe. Yeah, it's just some type of beat. But otherwise, I think there's some funny stuff here. Like, you have a comedic sense, and I think it's coming through. You just need to give it a little bit more love. Give it a little bit more of that flavor that makes it funny. Like, I feel like there's a funny beat here with the police coming out. I don't know what it is, because I don't know the context of the story, but I feel like there is something funny you can do here. You could either make him look more imposing. You could make him, like, I don't know. I don't know enough of the story, but it feels like it needs something funny. Yeah, anything is fine. Like, whatever you decide, it just needs a visual beat. But otherwise, I think it's good. I think you have kind of like that comedic sense down. I think you have some good shots. I think it'll work. And yeah, just keep with it. And I mean, it looks like it's coming along fine. Cha Han Kim. All right, let's keep this train rolling. Who was next? So it was Cha Han Kim, Emma McCloskey. I think Minmaze, you uploaded yours last because yours is at 8:11, but Emma McCloskey was at 7 o'clock. So we're gonna go with Emma's. Horsing around. Okay. Give me a hot second. I'm gonna drink a little water or a little tea. Okay. You guys having a good time? You guys having a good time tonight? Yeah, I think I'm not telling enough jokes. One of my coworkers was telling me about how ironically, he uses the term JPM, jokes per minute. You need more jokes per minute in this. You need to put more jokes per minute into your stream. There's not enough laughs, not enough chuckles. You might be getting a smile here and there, maybe but you need those guffaws, and you need those ha-has and the ho-hos. You need more jokes. And I'm working on that. I feel like sometimes my brain goes into like storyboard mode, and then sometimes it goes into food mode. it's hard to like switch between the two back and forth because I'm trying to give you information, and I don't want to like mix it with the jokes all the time because then it makes it confusing. You don't know if I'm joking or if I'm being the same. But yeah. We'll try adding more chuckles. We'll try putting more chuckles. uh, okay. I haven't seen this before. Let's take a look. So there's a horse, walks around it. Someone comes in, drinking. Howdy, sweetheart. Ah! She gets scared, kicks the bucket, falls down, thud. Hey, mama. Clang. Bounces over. Now what you doing down there in the mud? Well, obviously, scoot, gets up, bars himself up. What are you doing down here before the race begins anyways? It's getting dark. Wait. Oh, you know, just checking on my best girl and best boy over here. It's getting dark your time. What are you finishing up on? She looked. Well, I gotta run him through the hot walker and one more time to check for inflammation, replace and double pick the shoes, triple check the parameters of getting him in the gate. Check by the groom that's got in the rundown. Nah. All Pacific needs is a little bit of luck and a whole lot of love. I'll show you. Walks over. Grabs her hand. Wait, you'll mess him up. Nah, I don't know what's ever got you pitching a fit. Makes you think it's okay to disrespect your mama. But you better not be. Okay. Whoa, was that a background? Whoa, who's animating their backgrounds now? Whoa, it's a 3D shot. What? Whoa. That's crazy. Wait a minute. Whoa. Damn. Now why don't we all calm down and you tell me what's really going on? What? Oh, it goes inside too? Whoa. Ugh. Well, what do you think, Mama? It's my first race. How am I supposed to stand up on the so high regarded legacy of the greatest horse trainer of the 20th century? I'm always going to be stuck in the shadow of your legacy. I might come in last for all I know. What makes me special? What makes me better than anyone else? Nothing. I could come in dead last or win every prix and it's never going to be enough. It's never enough, is it? You know, she was an overthinker even when she was knee-high to a grasshopper. She is still now. But, you know what that means? It means you get extra special care. From your crest to your dock, all the way down to your double pick shoes. Now a young lady like that has a world full of success waiting for her. And no matter the outcome of this race, you've made us proud, and we're happy to stand by whatever you bring to the family legacy. Never let that running mind take over for your heart. You've done everything you can, and now it's up to Pacific and his jockey. Ain't that right? Oh, now let's all calm down and take Pacific down to the track together. Besides, horses can smell fear. Okay. I think there is a lot of good stuff here. I think you might... I imagine this is kind of more along the lines... I wouldn't say action adventure, but I also wouldn't say like straight comedy. It feels something more like Star in the Forces of Evil, Steven Universe. It feels like maybe even it doesn't feel like an exact comedy show, but it has like anime tendencies to it that I don't know if it fits with it. Unless it's for an anime thing, then I'm like, I don't know. Because like this pose here feels very anime, and it feels a little bit out of place just because of that, right? Same thing with this shot here and this shot here, and like it feels very anime. And same thing with this here, although this could be played for comedy, which I think is fine, but yeah, you might want to be careful of that. And the only reason I say that is because some directors and some shows tend to not look highly upon anime, or at least anime trope stuff. So if you can find a better way to draw those beats, that's fine. Or if the show is like that, then don't disregard what I'm saying, right? Whoa. Oh, interesting. Okay. Thick storyboard lasagna. I didn't know that was from Critical Role. Interesting. Southern flashbacks. I'm from Texas. This speaks to me. Louisiana. I'll have the phone. Okay, so slice of adventure. Yeah, slice of adventure. It feels like that. I think my note would be work on your compositions as well. Like I was talking about earlier, there seems to be a lot of open space in your shots, and I think it is what will help sell your story a little bit better. Talking scenes are always hard because it's just people talking, right? Like you have to figure out ways to make interesting compositions and interesting things with the compositions so that the talking doesn't get boring. Two people just talking can get visually boring really quickly, so you have to think of ways not to have that. See, I think this shot is more interesting than this shot, right? Just because we have a little bit more depth and a little bit more complexity. This shot is cool. I like that. Except you stopped drawing the background when you should have probably just kept drawing the background. She's also a little bit too far off to the side. Well, we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so I think you need to think about your compositions a little bit. That's totally fine. I was just trying to get a two-person conversation under my belt, so I wasn't thinking much about the type of scene, like show. That's fine. There's nothing. I think I'm just giving my own thoughts about that so that I would know how to kind of like approach this. So, like I talked about earlier with the other scene, there seems to be a lot of open space here and a lot of open space here, and your or at least my eye tends to drift to these areas, and because of that, it takes away from what's important, which is here. So I would change up the composition so that it would give it a little bit more visual interest. I don't know if I would shoot it from this angle per se, right? Because we're not, no matter how much we put into this area, like let's say we put a rake here, let's say we put some hay here. Oh, it might be okay, I guess. Nah, if we add in more stuff on this side, maybe like a wheelbarrow. Maybe a bucket here or something too. Right? So maybe I wasn't sure if I could make the composition work in this shot because even if you add stuff, sometimes it doesn't look all that interesting, but make sure to add in some junk here. I might add in like a foreground element here or something. I don't know what that'd be. Maybe it'd be like a... But then the perspective is a little bit funky. Oh, sorry. I'm having a little bit of a brain fart because I'm trying to figure out how this looks. Like the perspective would be like way up here. Okay. So that's kind of like the perspective of the shot, I guess. So my suggestion would be, first off, widen out the frame a little bit because the horse's head was getting too close to the top of the frame here. That's one. I would also try to add in some more junk on the side over here. Whatever that might be. Oh my god. Fucking Photoshop sometimes. Add in like some other junk, whatever's. Just to kind of fill up this area. And then definitely add in a foreground element to give it that thickness we always talk about. Give it some layers. Maybe not a similar shape. Maybe I'd do a different shape. Maybe it's a circle instead. A barrel. A barrel. Do a barrel roll. Slippy! And then you can add some other stuff on top of that. Maybe another horseshoe. I don't know. You might also want to think about changing the shot so that you can have more story elements. If she's going to talk about how the family has like a legacy, you might want to have a shot of her in the stall and you see all the awards on the wall or something. Like maybe it is just a bunch of awards on the wall over here, or like the winning horse, you know, instead of having it all just be horse stuff, maybe have the trophies next to her. Maybe have it be like a fancy looking stable for whatever reason. So you get a little bit more story in your shot, right? Because right now, without all this other stuff, it's just someone standing next to a horse stable. But there's actually a lot of story that you're trying to tell with this. You're trying to tell that she comes from a family of people that are really good at it. So maybe let's change this up a little bit. We'll leave the foreground element there. We'll leave the border there. Let's change it so that it has maybe like the, you know, the wreath, the winning wreath, like number 1. Maybe it has like, maybe change this up so that's like a step thing with all the awards, you know, glass case, all the trophies. And then you can start, instead of having it just be a normal stuff like that, right? You're number 1, and have all the trophies here, whatever's. Again, just design it so that it's interesting. Right? This is the pedestal or whatever. Instead of doing that, have it pan over a little bit, right? So this will be the end frame. Add in another one that starts a little bit further over so we get more of it. Or just start in tighter on that stuff first. Because that is what's interesting to us, right? We want to see this stuff first and then widen out to the shot with the horse now. Does that make sense? Does that make sense as to why I added in this other stuff or changed up the shot? Who is texting me at this hour? Ironically, is someone asking about storyboard stuff. So yeah, I would suggest changing up this shot so that you give a little bit more story, so that it also creates a little bit more visual interest and it gives a little bit of energy. Usually when shots are moving, it gives it a little bit of energy, and I think that will help sell your idea a little bit better, right? And it, like I said, foreshadowing, it adds a lot to what you already have. So I think that would be something to keep in mind. I think you can still have the woman walk in, the mom walk in. I wouldn't split up the shot like this though, because it gives away her first, right? I think she should be like, howdy sweetheart, and then we see her get scared in this shot. Because we reveal who it is first before it happens, and I think it could be a cooler reveal of her seeing the mom in this shot. Like, I think this would be a better reveal of the mom here than in the previous one. Like, we, as an audience member, we want to be surprised at the same time as that person, Sandra. I think this is also funny, looking up underneath the horse. Right? I think there's something funny you can do there. So what would be funny is I like this shot. Keep it with the, this is just kind of like the, this is to indicate it's like a upshot, right? Because if we were to follow it, the horizon line would be down here, and it's like whatever. You guys get that. You guys are smart. You know what I'm talking about. So what would be funny is if you actually have like a foreground element of the horse blocking her face out. Horses are kind of big too, by the way. I've been drawing a lot of horses recently, and they're really big and really hard to draw, but it would be funny if like she was partly covered up by the horse, and so she either has to bend down to look at her. Right, like that could be a funny type of situation. You might even be able to compress it in. Right, like you can have it hide her face, and then in the next shot that you have, she actually bends down to reveal her face underneath the horse. I think that'd be a weird, funny, cool, interesting composition. I think you might need to include her in this shot, though. You might need to include the mom in this shot, because I think without it, it'll feel a little bit weird. Well, let's take the other. Let's take this one. This one might be better. Right, you want that connective tissue between shots that we're looking for. And by connective tissue, I mean making sure people stay in the same spot, and that so that they aren't confused when people pop in and out of shots, right? So if she's looking up this way, like that, then the person should be here somewhere, right? Because in the previous shot too, we saw her right next to the horse. Like, she's pretty damn close to the horse at this point, so she should be in this shot too. You might have to frame. Well, I think that's fine, the framing, I think. I would probably frame it over just a little, just to give it a little bit. I think that's fine. I think your framing is fine. I take it back. I think your framing is fine. I think I'm wrong. But let's get the dress in frame. So I think having like the dress in frame like that will be fine. Having a lot of times with big flowing dresses, I'll draw through them. I'll draw the person through them and then erase it just so I know where their feet are, so I know what it looks like. Since we're working digital, do not be afraid to draw through your stuff and then erase it, or do it on layers, or whatever you need to do. Right. So you could bring her in like this, and the reason why we need to have her in the shot is because without her here, it feels like she just teleports in the next shot, right? The idea is she's close enough to the horse in this shot that it makes this shot believable. Without her in this shot, all of a sudden it feels like she teleported into the scene in the next shot. So this is what I mean by like connective tissue. You have to kind of keep the people in a similar location between shots so that when you cut to them, it doesn't seem implausible, or it doesn't seem like they're just popping in. I can move it over a little bit. And look at that. It also, because it's like an OTS, it frames your face to follow. It frames your face here, right? Like it helps to lead your eye to this person. The legs here I like a lot because it also helps frame both of these things. This side and this side both help to frame that. My suggestion for drawing this horse leg though is bring it down a little bit, because your perspective, right? If this is the ground perspective and this is the back leg, then the other leg, if they're in parallel, would be over here like that, right? Think about it like two sticks. The sticks would be like that. So you need to bring that leg over. Boom. Legs. Whoa, what's been going on? Slice of adventure. I was just trying to get a two-person conversation. Did you come up with your idea? Yeah, I totally like visual. Yeah, it flows really well. I think it flows really well. I think the dialogue is good too. Michelle Garcia says, "How does one get a storyboard review?" Just put your storyboards in the Google Drive, and we'll go over them. Maybe not tonight because we still have a couple more to do. But if we get done, if the other ones are pretty quick, then maybe I'll have time to do it. But anyways, so yeah, to summarize what I was saying, make sure that you have that connective tissue of people between the shots. You can use characters and stuff to help frame your shots as well. Like in this shot, we have the horse framing it. In this shot, we have the horse and the mom. So that helps with your compositions. It's on her head. That's fine. Gets up. She gets up. I know that this is kind of rough, so I'm not going to be like too harsh on it, but it feels like she stands up straight. And if she stands up straight, she would be next to the horse, but somehow she's like further away from the horse. Just be careful about that. You might need to put her closer. Having backgrounds also, even if it's just a grid, will help identify what type of shot you want. Because right now, without a grid and without a background, it's very hard to tell what type of shot this is. You can easily make it upshot, right? Like you can make it an upshot like that. And you're like, oh, that looks fine, right? But then you can also do like, could be a down shot. You can be like that. You could have it be a flat shot, like just like there's so many different ways without a background that you can do it. So it's important to always have at least some type of background going here. And like I said with the other one, you can use your background to help sell your story. So help sell ideas in your story and whatnot. So like that's that wood. Maybe this is that thing over here. The barn door. You know, if she feels like trapped or something, you could have more elements that help to like frame her. Like you could add stuff in the background, like a whip or things like that, to help to lead the eye to her as well. And now, especially with talking scenes, you need to add in more stuff because without it, it's just two people standing around talking, but the background helps sell things. And then the acting is the other third part of that will help you sell things and whatnot. Yeah, the horse here. Whoop. Oh, I'm a horse. Oh man, this is the JPMs we're looking for. Jokes per minute. I'm a snake horse. But yeah, the idea is you want to have some background stuff because it'll just sell your story idea better. Okay, but I think the acting is fine. That's fine. Like I said, just be careful with some of the anime stuff, just because, like I said, it's not my opinion, but I think some shows are very opposed to anime type tropey stuff. So just keep that in mind. That's just my tip to you. Anime stuff doesn't always sell well, and so I think maybe opinions are changing because I think a lot of comedy shows do a lot of anime stuff now, like OKKO. I know Steven Universe had some stuff, and even regular show, but you just have to be careful. Like if it's a portfolio, I wouldn't necessarily put it in there, but I think you can do some funny stuff. Like it doesn't have to be this face. You can make it any other type of face and still sell it. What is the line? Triple check the parent. Checked by the groomer that's gotten the rundown. Nah. And it might just be 2 poses that you need. Nah. Right. Maybe. And the hair stuff, I don't know if that's acceptable. I'm not the arbiter of that. You can keep it in. I think it's fine. I don't think anyone would notice. Nah. Maybe that's pose. Maybe this is pose 2. Maybe pose 1 is pose 1. So you have like, it's, oh no, it's the change in reaction that kind of sells a joke. So 1, she's like, calling you off. Then 2, she's like, nah. And then maybe even more of a, like, nah. Like, what do you mean, nah? What do you mean, nah? Nah? What? I don't know. Maybe like, no, no, no. I don't know. I don't think it's that type of show, but you might just need to add in a little bit more acting to sell the nah instead of like the with the. It might have to be like, she's like, and you have to do this, and then and she's like, nah, like, nah, like kind of. You might have to do a little bit more nuanced acting instead of just kind of just a single expression. So keep that in mind. Yeah, you're trying to make the note. Mr. J, Mr. F. You guys know what that's. Anyways, for storyboards, I notice that perspective is really important. Have you ever done those perspective exercises where you rotate boxes in a 360-degree motion? I have not. Ish. I know what you're talking about. It's usually when you set up a vanishing point like that, and then you just start drawing boxes to match that. It's like, oh, boom, box, box, box. And then if you want to get fancy, then you do like 2 vanishing points, and you practice your perspective. You know, boop, boop. Oh my god. And you're like, oh, perspective, like that. I think people understand perspective and like, oh, things just go to the vanishing point. I think that's the easy part. I think the hard part is understanding how to make things fit into it, right? Like, it's not the hard part isn't tracing it out to the vanishing point. The hard part is knowing how to use it, and I think that just comes with practice. Ah, Arrested Development, you got me. You caught me. Sorry if you're gonna hear me out of one headphone. I'm not sure what's going on, but okay. So just go on. Puts it on there. That's fine. Talk to it. Yeah, just watch out for that. It might have to be a little bit more acting and not so anime. This is really cool. I really dig the turning background. I don't know if you would want to do that. Animating backgrounds is really hard, so you might want to just cut to her walking inside. I think that might be a better idea anyways, because she could walk in from the sunlight into the shade as she's talking, and that could be like going from light to dark, where she's like all bubbly, and then as she goes into the shade of the barn, she's like, you know, I have all this pressure on me. I'm like, like, you know, you guys are so good. She could start off by saying something positive on the outside, and as she walks into the dark, she's like, you know, I have all this pressure on me. You guys are just so good. And no matter what I do, and so in that moment of like weakness, she's in the dark, right? So this could all take place in the darkness of the barn, and the mom could be outside in the light. You have like the light and the dark, light and the dark. And the mom is like something to achieve and to strive for, and she's in the darkness where she feels like she's not good enough, right? You could play up those 2 parts of it, and then she walks into the darkness and pulls her out of the darkness and into the light, right? Like, there's something to that. I think your shot choices are fine. It's just maybe yeah, I don't think you need the turning background. It is cool. Like, when I saw it, I was like, holy damn, you animated your background, but you don't have to necessarily. I think they probably would discourage you from doing that on the show because it's probably a lot of work, but I think these shots are good. You might want to add in the mom again here to give it a little bit more composition. You might want to add in her in one of these other shots to give it some composition, just to like help with the composition and the layout. Because right now it's looking a little flat, and that might just be because there's no background. It might be because there's not enough stuff there, but I think shot choice wise, that's fine. Like this shot of her going past the horse, I think is fine. That works great. I think that's great. All that stuff is fine. Like, it's just some other smaller notes of like fixing the layouts, fixing like some of the acting, but otherwise I think it's good. Like I think the dialogue is really good too. Like writing dialogue is hard, but I think you did a good job. And it sounds like they both have personalities, and it sounds like they have characters. So good job. Like I think that stuff is good. Sorry if you can't hear me. I have one headphone. I don't know why that happened. What a Priyan Khan Roy says, can you please explain what's the difference between storyboard revision as a storyboard artist? I'll get to that in a short bit. Do you have any questions about this, Emma? If that makes sense. I'm going to go on to your next one really quickly. If you have any more questions about that, I can always go back to it. Greatest Chase. Opens the door. Okay. Before we get into this one, I'll answer your question, Priyan Khan Roy. The difference between a storyboard artist and a storyboard revisionist is that the storyboard artist will be given script pages and then be asked to draw them out and make the script pages visual. The storyboard revisionist usually works closer with the director and will do notes on top of what the storyboard artist has finished. So the storyboard artist gets the script, they do the storyboards, and then they move on to the next episode. At that point, the director gets the finished storyboards, they make their notes, and they give it to the storyboard revisionist, and the revisionist is tasked with helping to fix those notes. The revisionist position is more of a learning position. It's kind of like a training position, and it's supposed to be a way for you to see why they change things, a way for you to see how the director thinks, and it's kind of just more of like a good place to be if you're starting off in storyboarding. Not everyone starts as a revisionist and goes to artist. Some people just go straight to artist because they're good. Some people start in revisions and stay in revisions because they like doing that. It's more of a helping position than it is a creating position. No problem. That's not a problem. My next one is super long. Okay, well, we'll go through it quickly. Sydney Watt asks, what's a good program to start animating with at home? I've been using Toon Boom, but is there anything better? Are you talking about animating or storyboarding? Storyboarding, I would say Toon Boom Storyboard Pro. If you're animating, I don't know, because I don't do a whole lot of animating myself. So the two programs I use the most are Toon Boom Storyboard Pro and Photoshop. And then next up is Adobe Premiere, but that's only because I like using it for editing other stuff. Okay, let's go through the Greatest Chase. Door opens, someone walks in. Whoa. Oh, she like slides in? Oh, she can. Oh, pan up. It's Mama. How do y'all? Nope. How do y'all? Nope. Pulls off the hat. We're doing none of that today. You old clothes. Oh, that's pretty funny. Oof. Hits him in the stomach. Oh, so I can't wear my hat, but he can wear those? Pan down to the Crocs. What? The ergonomic. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to go through this a little bit quickly because it's getting close to 10:30. Over here. Yeah, or great one. Whoa, you love your 3D backgrounds. Damn, they're ergonomic. Let's go. You don't get a picture of the smart one. Walk. Over here. Walk. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Whoa. So, where are we going? To return the watch, we need to get to the historical monument, which is on the opposite end of town. Wait, you do have the watch, right? Psh, I got it. You know how you can always rely on me. Wink. I don't know why I put up with you. Rude. Steps on water. Keeps walking. Guys, I think we have a problem. That's kind of cool. I think I've been found. Oh, we gotta go. Run. Grabs the cat. Run. Townspeople. Run. I think we lost him. Run. Throws the boot. Bonk. Boot. Haha. Deuces. Right. So she's running without a boot now? That's crazy. Run. Are we headed the right way? Run. Should be around the corner. Slip. Oh yeah, she doesn't have a boot. There. Whoa. What happened? Oh, they all crashed into trees. Ooh. Natural Museum. Gasp. It belongs in a museum. Boom. Ah! Wait, no, we have the thing. Ah! Pulls out the watch, it falls, grabs it, take it. I don't want it, but it's yours. Bam. Ah, 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 ah. Oh, my. Over there. Oh, yeah. Her time vessel. Her Hera time. What? Gets hit, drops it. Falls away, puts it in thing. Oh my god, we actually did it. Smack. Haha. Laughter. Haha. Wait, me too. Okay, interesting. Okay. So, for the most part, it's a chase scene, which is the greatest chase. Okay. I'm going to go through this one a little bit faster. I think you have all the right story beats. It flows pretty well for a chase scene. I think my biggest note would probably be like technical stuff, right? Like changing up your shot choices and then changing up how you stage them, right? I think you have all the right beats. Like you have the idea of setting up something funny like a western, and then he immediately goes away from that, and then you have the thing with the Crocs. I think that's funny. I think that stuff is funny. I think you have the right idea with the Crocs and go into a close-up of that. That's funny. I would try to stay away from 3/4 down shots like this. I think you can do it smarter, and you won't have to draw people in 3/4 down shots. A lot of times what people do for Bazaar or any type of like market shot is they usually do like a panning shot, right? You always have like a long panning shot. In the foreground, you have a bunch of stuff. You have someone standing here selling those stuff. All right, I'm gonna draw this a little bit better. All right, they're selling whatever they're selling here. Right, then some like barrels or whatever, some other stuff. Then like more selling stuff, right? So this is all kind of like foreground stuff right now. You have like a person sitting here. Yeah, maybe a person. You have some other stuff here that comes toward camera. So this is all foreground element stuff. Foreground stuff, right? And then you have your characters walking through like this. Maybe they're looking around at things like, ooh, I see. And the cat. So they walk this way, they keep walking. Does that make sense? So you don't have to, you can show a little bit more flavor with the people. You can have jokes here. You don't have to draw a 3/4 down shot of stuff, which is always hard. You can have stuff in the background. You can have, it's a panning shot, so it has a little bit more energy and whatnot, you know. I would always try to stay away from 3/4 down shots for walking scenes because it's so hard to animate and it doesn't really tell you much. Because most of the shot, if you look at it, is of the ground. Like 50% of the shot is the ground, and there's nothing you get from looking at the ground. So stay away from that. Like you could have all these funny characters in this shot. You could have like the octopus person here or there or wherever, and it's just a little bit more interesting. Walk. Again, watch out for the backgrounds. Technical note, I think his head is getting a little bit big in some of these shots. I think, like I said, I think your shot choice and your ideas are really good, and you have a good sense of flow. I think some of the drawings could use a little bit of love, but maybe it's because it's just roughs. Yeah, 3/4 down is just hard for perspective animation then, yes. 3/4 shots are really hard, especially walking like like what you had here. There are other ways you can do down shots and other ways you can do walking scenes. I'm not saying don't do down shots or don't do 3/4 ones. Just find places where it serves a story purpose. You want to have it tell a story and have it be for like a reason. Kind of like in the same way that I had in the previous one, I was like, oh, you should have her walk into the dark when she says those things because it just heightens the story. Down shots tend to make people feel weak. So if you're going to use a down shot, try to find places to use that or use a down shot for a very specific reason. You don't just want to use it for whatever reason all the time, just for like no reason. It could be like stylistically a choice, but at least make it a stylistic choice. Okay, I'm going to quickly go over some anatomy stuff so that maybe it'll help you with your drawings a little bit. So if we were to draw a center line through this character, right, technically both sides should be semi-equal, but what I'm looking at when I see this is that his head is a little bit big and this arm is a little bit small. This arm is a little bit bigger, and the way you can kind of fix all these issues really quickly is think about him as like a box, right? And this is kind of getting back to like that. Do you draw things in perspective? Do you draw boxes in perspective? Like if we think about his body as like a box, like the rib cage, you can use that to help you with your drawings, right? Where's the center line? Something like that, right? This would be like the rib cage. And then the bottom part of his hips is also a box. Like this is that top part of your hip, like that. Right? And there's there should be a center line there too. Same thing with the arms. The arms are kind of like, there's like that kind of shoulder cuff type thing that you always have like in armor. That's like your shoulder, your deltoid. And then the arm should kind of be at the elbow should be kind of be where the bottom of the rib cage is, and then these are just like tubes, right? Just tubes. Tube, that's fine. But this arm just needed to be bigger, I think. Like that. Whoop. See, but like now that we have the center of the body here, we should know that the center of the head should kind of be similar, right? If he's looking straight down. Like that. I might have drawn his head a little bit big, but I think you get the idea. There you go. That might be a little bit better. Right? Okay, so like when I was starting out, I would tend to do a lot of underdrawings like this. Over time, I've used them less and less, but if I have a hard time drawing a pose or anything like that, I'll tend to go back and make sure that everything is lining up properly and making sure that the anatomy works well enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough, right? So now that we know, I'm looking for like a color that will stand out. Why is none of the colors standing out? Okay, there you go. So now that we know these are the things, we can kind of start to put in his features, right? Kind of reminds me of James and the Giant Peach a little. The thing about clothes is you can use the creases in the clothes to help indicate form. So this here kind of like indicates the arm is slightly in front of it, is slightly rotating a little bit, right? You use the creases in the clothes to help sell the idea of the way the shape is. Like that, right? So you sell it by making the tube part of the arm seem more tubey. So there's like overlap and stuff, right? And you use the seam, the center of the shirt to indicate the center of his body. You use the belt line to indicate that it's like a down shot, slightly down shot type situation. And then the fly to indicate the center of that too as well, right? So clothes is good because it helps you indicate stuff like this. Clothes is sometimes bad because it's hard to draw, but, well, that's another story. So, oops, let's get rid of that. So now you can kind of see it's a little bit more anatomical, just that little step of like kind of drawing out the center lines and drawing out a little bit more of the anatomy just to make sure it matches up will help give your drawings a little bit more solidity to it, and will help to improve your drawing technique over time. Especially if you want to draw more realistic stuff, you'll have to practice anatomy and understand how shapes turn and things like that. So it's always good to do an underdrawing if you need to. Whoa. Sydney Wyatt says, I have another question. I'm going to college next year. I need to build up my portfolio more. What are some things I should focus on if I want to go into storyboarding? I do not know. I haven't been to school in a long time, so I don't know what these programs want. When I was going to school, animation was just starting up, and I feel like it would be I wouldn't know at all what to put in a portfolio, like an art portfolio now. I don't even know if they have like storyboard specific things for school, so I have no idea. Scat. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Kylie says, I had 0 storyboarding skills and actually wanted to do 2D animation. I included a lot of figure drawings, character sketches, and some rough animation. But that's for the animation department. It may be different for the illustration department. I would definitely suggest concentrating a lot on figure life drawings and any sequential work you have for their portfolios. But if you're doing a bachelor's, I don't think we had a portfolio recommendation. Sydney says, I'm kind of also aiming for 2D animation, but I also want to explore my options. Should I include any environmental or stylized drawings? Ant says, if you use boxmen like that, wouldn't it stiffen up the pose? I know I know using gesture doesn't really help with perspective. Aiden says, I start with gesture and then do the boxes on top. I do both. I think Aiden is correct. I do that. Sometimes, like, if it's a specific gesture that I want, then I'll do the gesture first. I'll be like, right, like, you're like, I'm number to the heavens. Like, in my head, I don't exactly know what that looks like, but I can feel it, right? Like, feeling it. To the heavens. So you do like a gesture drawing like that, right? And then if you want to make it a little bit more technical, then you go back in and you figure out the things that you want to keep, right? You want to keep the stiffness of the arm a little bit to sell that idea. Well, if that's the case, then if this side is the gesture line you want to keep on that, then you have to fill in the other side of it so that it makes it work. You have to figure out a way to make those other lines work. The thing about gesture drawing and like figure drawing is that gesture drawing is important because it helps you capture the pose. It helps you give you energy to your work. But the thing that I think I had trouble, at least when I was going to school, is that gesture drawing doesn't help you always get better at anatomy, right? Those are two separate things. One is about like feeling and one's more technical, and you have to combine the two if you want to be good. So you have to know how the muscles connect, right? Like you have to know that there's that neck muscle here that goes down like that gives you that gesture line, that gives you, you want this gesture line like that, but you need to know that it's a combination of two muscles. It's that muscle, the neck muscle that comes down from back of your ear down this way, and then the other muscle, the meatiness of your neck, right? Same thing with this. Like you need to know that your collarbone goes up to connect to your shoulder to create this line here. If you didn't know that, then you're just drawing like a gesture line, but you need to know that that's an anatomy line right there. That's from bone. Right? So you need to know like why a gesture would just be like that, but there's actually meat there. That's like the rib sticks out. There's like another latissimus dorsi on top of that. So you can kind of smooth it off a little bit, but there's a specific gesture you want for that. Same thing with this one. You need to know that the shoulder is going to come up here like that and pops out a little bit and then turns in. And so I'll see a lot of people that are good at gesture, but when you ask them to do poses that are very unusual or hard to like draw, they tend to fall apart a little bit because they don't understand the anatomy side of things. They're drawing from feeling, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with drawing from feeling and drawing from energy, right? It is a problem though if you have to do more technical poses or if you have to do more nuanced acting, because you need to know how these muscles work together, and you need to know that this is probably going to bulge out here a little bit because that's the butt, and then the leg muscle comes out like that, right? The great trochanter. You know that the way the leg works is like that. There's like a contrapposto. You need to... So you can still keep the gesture stuff. You can still keep the gesture. You just need to know why those gestures work. You need to know how the muscles fit with that. Right? So it still has the same feeling. It's just adding stuff onto it. You can, and then it goes both ways. Like if you start from a technical place, like, oh man, that feels a little weird actually. If you start from like a technical place, just try to simplify things down so it's not as stiff. The idea with the boxes in the other example was that it's to help kind of check your drawing. It's not to stiffen up your drawing. It's to kind of check it to make sure if it's looking weird, you want to know why it's not looking right, right? Like it's to help you check your math basically. You gotta taste the bean dip as you're making it. You're making the bean dip. It's complicated. I get it. You're putting in beans, you're putting in sour cream, and you know sometimes you're just winging it. You're like, I'm just gonna put in a little bit of this. I'm gonna put a little bit of that. Well, if you're going to wing it without a recipe, you have to taste it as you're going along. And you have to be like, okay, let me sample a little bit. Okay. A little bit too much sour cream. Let's add in a little bit more lime juice, right? Put in the lime juice, you sample it again. You're like, oh, that's a little too limey. Let's put in some salt, you know, add in some kick, put in like a pepper, a jalapeno. And kind of like cooking. When you're cooking just off the cuff, you gotta taste that every step of the way. Similarly with drawing, like if you're going to do like a gesture drawing or like one of these drawings and you're feeling like it's weird, just go back and check your work. Draw in like a boxy guy. Add in, what I find that helps me is I always add in like a middle line. Find out where their middle line is, and that will like help to really figure your drawing out for you. You'll feel like you can tell if things are off kilter. You can tell if things are kind of like too out of proportion. You can tell how things are turning properly. Like a middle line will help solve a lot of problems off the bat. And it might stiffen it up a little bit, but you can always go back and fix that afterwards. You can fix the gesture. Right? Same thing with this one. There's like a middle line here. Boop. And then like that. So this leg feels like it's a little bit too close on that side, right? Or if it is, then you got to even it out with some other stuff. I'm not exactly sure why she's like in the hero pose, but we're gonna work with it. Right, so it'll help you with your drawing. Like it'll help you. There's nothing wrong with going back and doing like an underdrawing and figuring out why things aren't working or why they are working. Ultimately, I think we all want to be better artists, right? And if that means having to like go back and like look at our work and try and make it better, then that's what we have to do. It might take a little longer, but just like exercise, if you do a little bit of it every time, you'll just get faster and stronger and better every other time. You won't need to always have to do these underdrawings. You won't have to like construct them. You can just draw it sometimes. You can just knock it out. Um, yeah, unsure. Thanks, no problem. Ant River says, yeah, I noticed that most pros say study gesture first, but it's hard to draw a gesture with no anatomy knowledge. I think anatomy is just hard. It's just hard to do, and my best suggestion is study it piece by piece and just stick with it. Okay, so it's 10:45. Let's keep going. I think this is a cool shot. I feel like that would be really hard to animate, so you might want to stay away from it. This stuff is fine. That's fine. Just make sure you have a background so at least we know where the characters are. This is a cool shot. I like this a lot, where he steps into the water and we see the reflection. That's a cool reveal, like that. Again, you might just want to have an OTS here because I know it's from the cat's perspective, but he kind of disappears. You just put his hand in here. It'll help with the composition. It'll give it layers. It'll make it thick. You want that thickness, and then you see them up there. Da 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 da. That's fine. That's fine. Running. You might want to change up your shots. So a lot of it is like medium and close-up shots. You'll probably want to add in some like wide shots. Have some small. Have them bigger and smaller, and just keep their screen direction consistent too. If they're going right to left, keep them going right to left, unless we see them change direction, and then because they're going right to left the whole time, but then they end up going left to right to get here. So it feels a little weird. It feels like they went backwards. So make sure if they're going right to left to get to their destination, have them end going right to left, just so that it's consistent. This is fine. It's fine. Talk. Yeah, you might need to change up there's a lot of close-up and medium shots. Add in some wide shots so that we get some variety and so that we can see the space a little bit more and whatnot. Yeah, I can go in a little bit more in depth with this the next time if you want, but I think you have all the beats there. I think the story beats are fine. I think it's just more technical stuff of like making sure your shots are varied up and that your screen direction is kind of like consistent. But overall, really good. Like doing the chase scene is a lot of work, and I'm really impressed. What was this? Emma was the name, I believe. Okay, last one. Min-Maze. Oh, okay. Yes, we've seen this. Nice. You add in the faces, you add in the people. I like that. I like it. Yeah. It's looking good. Add in some foreground elements. I like that. You have the stuff framing them. Also really nice. It's coming along. Yeah, you change the framing so it's a little bit tighter now. Still, it's looking good. It's looking good. You took out the arm. Yeah. This is awesome. Yeah, this is looking a lot better. Yeah, hey, look at that. And then you have the OTS that I was talking about, fixing the face and fixing the perspective. Yeah, you have those nice framing elements. See, it's coming. It's looking good. It feels more cinematic than before, and it feels like there's a lot more depth. It has a lot more of that thickness that we're looking for. You have some nice. Oh, look at that rack focus. Nice. With a little bit of story of her flying over. Like, oh, yeah. So I'm talking about you add in these lines, the background to lead your eye there. Some OTSs so it feels a little bit more depth. It feels a little more cinematic. Yeah, like, oh, man, it's good. This is good acting. Oh, yeah, and some soft focus on the background. Look at that. Guys, we need to calm down. Oh, yeah, he changed up the perspective on the shot because it was a little bit wonky before, but now it's better. It's good. Oh, look at, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Page 49, I have questions on that. OTS seems better for this part of dialogue, but a couple scenes after also uses OTS. Too much of the same shot type. In the previous scene, Lydia leaves screen left to right, but comes in here right to left. Is that okay? Lydia's position here is technically where the table is. I'm not sure how to angle it properly, so Lydia stays screen right. I see what you mean. So what Min-Maze is saying is she's exiting here going from left to right, like that. And then in this scene, she comes in right to left. And some people would be like, okay, if she's going screen left to right, she needs to enter screen left to right. Honestly, I don't think this is a bad cut because we've already established where they are on the table, and if the table acts as like the 180, like the line we can't cross over, we don't cross over it. We get close, but we don't. Right? She's always going to be screen right, and he's always screen left, and she's screen right here, and he's screen left. So it works. I don't think it's a problem that she comes in this way. It feels natural. That's fine. In terms of OTS, hey, that's good too. Yeah, man, yes. You the man, the lady, man. Like, this looks good. This looks good. I think, yeah. I just told you what the shot would be, and you drew it out, and it feels better. You get the reactions. Yeah, yes. The shot looks good. Like, you used the same setup from before, so you don't have to draw as much. Okay, so the OTS stuff. I think there's nothing wrong with going from, like, setting up a shot like this, and then going to a new shot, and then going back to the same shot you set up before. I don't think there's anything wrong with going from, like, shot A to shot B, shot A, shot B, shot A, shot B. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the way it'll be boring is if you don't change the framing between like shot A and shot B, or if it's just like 1 to 1, 1 2, 1 2, 1 2. There needs to be a little bit of variety, and the way you can do that is by like, so let's say this is your setup shot, right? Like this, let's say that's, let's say this is one over the shoulder shot, and then this is the other over the shoulder shot, right? If you were to just cut between these two shots, like go from shot A to shot B, like back and forth, it would get boring. That would be boring because it's just the same thing over and over, and it feels lazy. The way you can change this is by having these shots and either like widening out from them or getting closer. So let's say maybe on, let's say for this shot when she comes in, it's at that framing, right? And then they're talking, and then maybe in the next shot, the next time we see them talk, it's the same thing but just wider now. Just a little bit wider. It's like in the same position but just a little bit wider. And this is kind of what I was talking about with like Mamoru Hosoda and his movies, right? Like he goes from like wide to close, but it's still the same shot from still the same angle. It's just that he changes the framing a little bit. And this should kind of like match your dialogue. So like maybe more calm moments, you're a little bit wider, more intense moments, you get even closer, right? Or if you want the acting, like maybe in this scene he's like, you know, I can't just let you go and do that stuff. So he puts his hands up on her like, you're my sister, I have to protect you, like I can't, right? So like you change the framing just slightly and it doesn't feel like you're just going from shot A to shot B. It gives it that variety. You don't confuse people. It allows you for acting. It allows for a little bit of different stuff. Like, it's just a subtle change, but it makes a big difference. Right? So, and it's not, and this is something that is good for animation too, because like, in terms of animation production, like let's say we're making a show, right? This would have to be, shot A will be like one background, and then this will be another background, right? And this one will not be a new background. We'll just take this background and use it for that background. We'll just cut in closer. So you, in terms of saving money, it helps save you money. In terms of like redrawing stuff, it also saves you time. Like you don't have to redraw a background every time you change shots either. So you can do that, and then maybe instead of, so you do 1 2 1 2, like, or 1 2, and you cut a little bit different. So on this shot now, maybe we get her reaction. So instead of being so wide, now we're in tighter, right? Now we're slightly in tighter. Maybe even this person is out of the shot because we're in closer, so maybe we choose a long lens shot. But again, it's like the same shot, just differently framed. And you'll notice that a lot of directors do this too. Right? And already it feels like there's a variety of shots, but it's still only technically only like 2 shots that we're using. Right? Minmay says, yeah, I reused some of the BGs for the storyboard. It's efficient, but I also felt like it's cheating. I do it all the time. I will do it all the time. Like, if I set up camera layout, especially for talking, I'll go back to the same layout. I'll go back and use it again. Like, I try not to have to redraw backgrounds all the time because it's just time consuming, especially for talking stuff. No one's going to care. I'll set up the shot so that it's well composed for both of them because composition and layout matters. It's just I'll still reuse them because if I do it strong the first time, I can always go back to it. And then I'll add in like, so you do like this, you do like close up and then a little bit wider and then close up, and then add in a third shot or just a different type of shot to break it up. So maybe we'll have those are the first 4 shots, and then maybe afterwards we'll have like a wider shot, right? Like a wide shot of the 2 of them. And that's what this shot could be later on. That's what this shot could be, right? You could have them in this shot. You could just take this shot that you had before. So you don't even have to draw a new one. You just take that, you just drop it in there. And you just add her in. Boom. And so it gives you a little bit of variety. You don't want to reinvent the wheel with every shot. You just want to give it a little bit of flavor, right? See? And you don't have to draw a background again. You got the background. When we go back to the shot later on, when she walks away, it will make a lot of sense too, because we're like, oh, we already saw her in that shot before, so we don't have to show her walking the whole way. It's not confusing. We've already set this up. Right? Like, this is kind of like the beauty of like having good layouts and doing it well, because then you can just keep using it again and again and again and again, and it just works so well. Right? The 2 of them talking, we get, maybe this is like a pause in the conversation, so it's a little bit wider. We let the scene breathe, especially if they're arguing back and forth. You want to add in like a shot at some point where the audience can be like just let it out. But yeah, I love the improvements you've done. I think it's really working. I think your drawings are coming along. I like the soft focus. It gives it a little bit more depth. It gives it that thickness that we're always talking about. You're using the background to frame things now, to lead the eye. This is nice. This right here is nice because it frames it right here. Yeah. It's coming along. I think it's really good. Like, this stuff is good too. Yeah. I think you're doing all right. Like, you're kind of using the same setups as before. You're just like moving the camera up a little, or widening out, or trucking in a little bit. Like, that's what I just talked about. You're practically doing. It's just like, yeah, it's the same kind of. So good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm really psyched about that. I'm like, that's cool. Alright guys, it is 11 o'clock. For some of you, it's a lot later than 11. Some of you, it's a lot earlier than 11. But do you guys have any questions? We're going to wrap it up soon. I'm going to upload the notes to the folder and I'll put the link in there for everyone. Yeah, I'm super impressed too. Like I like that the improvements you're doing. I like that you stuck with it. I feel like I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. Storyboarding is a lot of work, so to see it come along like that, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I'm glad that you're sticking with it. Here is the link to the storyboard file with all my notes on it. Feel free to download it and whatnot. I think that's it, right? Yeah, that should be it. Again, thank you for letting me use your guys' work. I really appreciate that too. I couldn't be reviewing storyboards if you guys didn't have work for me to look at. And yeah, you guys could have chosen to be anywhere tonight, but you chose to be here. And I'm really appreciative that you guys come by every time and ask questions and improve upon your work. And I have a lot of respect for people that try to improve their craft and try to do it when, you know, life is so busy and people have work to do, like real work. So thank you for coming out. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to like ask them in the chat. I'm going to pull up a joke and then we'll sign off. Like I said, like I said earlier, Kirk, one of my roommates who has like, the robots, teaches a figure drawing class, a costume drawing class, figure drawing, costume drawing, and perspective. So they're all online. See if you can take his class. Arthur Loftus is a background guy and concept artist. He's going to, and he has a lot of stuff on his Instagram that has a lot of work that you can look and study it. Have a good night, Michelle. Thanks for stopping by. If you have storyboards next time, just upload them and we'll take a look. And what else was I gonna say? Oh, and then Friday nights. This Friday we are going to be streaming again. It's not particularly about we're gonna play some video games and we're gonna talk about animation, but it's a little bit more casual of a stream. So swing by for that. I don't know who I'm going to have on yet, but we'll see. It's always a fun time, and it's really chill, and people give us a hard time, but that's half the fun. I always bring someone from animation, so last time we brought Zaesung and Jiyoung and Rebecca. They all work in animation and do different stuff. So we ask them questions. You can ask questions about how they got into the industry. You can ask questions about editing or directing. We also had Mary and Daniel over the weekend, a couple weekends before that, and they came out from the East Coast to the West Coast to work, and you could ask them questions about that. So yeah, it's just kind of like a relaxed stream where we play video games and we talk about animation. So if anyone does have any questions, we're going to finish up with a joke. Oh, this is good. I don't think I've told this joke. What do you call someone who designs dog houses? What do you call someone who designs dog houses? You call them a barkitect. Can you guys see that? A barkitect. There's even a drawing of it. That's so good. Okay, guys. Thank you for coming out. As always, if you have any questions or if you missed anything or had to go to sleep, The videos will be up on my YouTube, and next. Oh, Emma got it. A architect. She. Whoa. What? How did she know? How did she know? There's more jokes. I feel like there's more jokes with architect and dogs. Like, let me get back to you on that. Let me think about it. I think there is a joke with more. There are more dog jokes and architecture. I know there are. I have to think about it. Like I feel like there's like one less, like Frank Lloyd Wright, but like Frank Good Boy Wright or something. Like there's something there. You know, sometimes you just feel it in you. Or like, what do you call a famous dog architect? Frank Geary, Frank Frankfurter Geary. Oh, no, there's something there. There's something that I can feel it. Anyways, we'll talk about that on Friday. As for everyone else, have a good night. Have a good week. I hope you guys keep up with your work. So, thank you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.